stacking the deck, rigging the deal. Project 2025 got the power to steal. Elon's in the lab cooking up a new coup. Cash rules all and they're coming for you. Oh no, MERICA, what you gonna do? Rights getting burned and they're coming for you. Constitution's just a ghost in chains. Freedom slipping down the drains. Rise up, break the chains. No billionaire should run the game. Lying, scheming, stealing rights. If we don't fight, we lose tonight. End of democracy comes in waves. Justice buried in shallow graves. Stand up loud, don't be the slaves. Unmake the cage, unmake the cage. Tick tock, time's running out. They're burning the laws, there ain't no doubt. Oh no, MERICA, what you gonna do? Rights getting burned and they're coming for you.
Uh-oh, hot dog, you guys got me mid-drink. Hello. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is ohnomerica. ohnomerica. And it's your host, Laura Ames. Guys, I'm wearing my new sweatshirt. Check out, I didn't get to show you guys this, but look at how well this sticker came out. Like, the flames are like alive. I love it. Head on over to the merch store if you want. Oh, wow, that just made me very bright. That's okay. It'll balance out here. Oh, there's an explosion. Okay. Anywho, there you have it, guys. Go to the merch store, ohnomerica.com. Pick up this, guys, this sweatshirt. I changed it from the one I was using before. It is so soft. And it's like a little heavier than the other one that I have. So I might just change all my sweatshirts to this particular one because it's very soft. I washed it, and you know, like sometimes after you wash one, you're like, no. And it's a little bit thicker. So I like it, but it's not too heavy. This is a good, like, hardy all year round sweatshirt. Whereas my, like, What's Up with Nora one is a little lighter. It's so soft though. It's like one of my most comfortable sweatshirts, but I like this one, I think, slightly better. Just because it's a little toastier. It's a little more, but that's just me. That's personal preference. All right, guys. Holy poopadoodles. There's a lot of things to talk about. We're going to talk about just a couple of them because, you know, yeah, there's too many. There's just too many things to talk about. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a couple things here, and then we're going to go over, you know, some stuff we can do. Here we go. Let's get started. Let's get crack-a-lackin'. So as you guys may have heard, the Cheeto in Chief did an interview with this lady. Let's not forget who she is. Let's go. 1 second. Let me go off of that and go here and go here. Here we go. Let's not forget who interviewed him last night. It's kind of important to have the full context. Here we go.
God bless you and God bless the United States of America.
Boom. And then she quickly moves it into a wave. Just kidding. Just waving. And I'm on the point.
God bless you and God bless
One more time.
the United States
One more time.
of America.
Boom. It's just just a teeny tiny little bit of the salutes that we don't really do anymore. You're a member now, Vernon. Well, thank you. Wow. Vernon, it's too big. Let's fix that every time. There we go. Every time. Let me get all my little banners going here. Fantastic. Thank you for becoming a member. Thank you. Thank you very much. That is wunderbar. Okay. So that lady interviewed the Cheeto in chief here. Let me get everything set up. And yeah. Let's go over this interview. Let me get my Cheeto. Where's my Cheeto? Where's my cheese puff? Oh no, not that guy. Sorry, wrong one. There's the Cheeto. We got to have the Cheeto up when you guys have to listen to him. I know it's disturbing. So we'll just put the Cheeto here for now. It's going to change a little bit. I'll move him around. All right, here we go.
Illegal immigration. He even told us what he sees for Barron's future.
Oh.
But we start tonight with the big news, his conversation with Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We got a readout of your call with Vladimir Putin, and it was a fairly optimistic take. Vladimir Putin agreed to a ceasefire immediately on energy and infrastructure.
Right. This is going to be impossible, guys.
To a
I'm just going to keep it over here.
ceasefire. Tell us what happened.
Well, you have a situation. We have a lot of guns pointing at each other foolishly because it would have never happened if I were president. That was not a war that was supposed to happen. And it did happen. So that's where we are. And right now, you have a lot of guns pointing at each other. And a ceasefire without going a little bit further would have been tough. Russia has the advantage, as you know. They have.
So this is going to be him dancing around his call with Putin. He had a call with Zelensky today, and apparently Zelensky is, hopeful after that. But, just listen to how he doesn't, I don't know. It's just not like, I've never heard a president talk about a call with an adversarial world leader like this.
Encircled about 2,500 soldiers. They're nicely encircled, and that's not good. And we want to get it over with. Look,
they're nicely encircled. You mean surrounded? You mean surrounded?
Doing this, there are no Americans involved. There could be if you end up in World War III over this, which is so ridiculous. But
why would you say that? Why would World War III come out of your mouth? Why would you do that? Guys, I can go up to 4x now. I'm not going to. Or we're just going to speed them up a little bit here. World War III? You shut your face. Don't you say those words. What's wrong with you?
Strange things happen. And I think we had a great call. It lasted almost 2 hours. Talked about a lot of things. And
2 hours. 2 hours is on the phone with Putin.
Toward getting it to peace. And we talked about other things also.
Was there non-negotiable?
Yeah, we talked about other things also. What the fuck else did you talk about to Putin?
Was mentioned by Putin. It was reported that I think the Kremlin media actually stated that he demanded an immediate cessation of aid to Ukraine in order to get to the.
Yeah. Putin was like, you got to just no more help for them.
Get to this multi-step deal.
No, he didn't. We didn't talk about aid, actually. We didn't talk about aid at all.
We didn't talk about it? Why not? What were you talking about?
We talked about a lot of things, but aid was never discussed.
In the readout, it also stated that both.
Okay, so she's not going to push back on the fact that the transcript readout that journalists were given indicated that aid had been discussed. And then he says no. And then she just moves on. Like,
sides
come on,
want to
Laura.
get to an improved bilateral relationship, the United States and Russia.
That's true.
How can we trust that Vladimir Putin actually wants that, in that he's not also being influenced at the same time by his close friend, President Xi of China?
Okay, so now we've got on the record here from Miss Ingraham that President Xi of China and Vladdy are besties. Okay, and that is a very bad combo. That's a bad combo. The two largest land masses with, one having the biggest population and the other one having a sparse population, but the two largest land masses on Earth being besties where they've never been besties before. Okay. They have fought over that area for thousands of years. And now all of a sudden they're besties. This is bad news bears.
Well, look, we have our own discussions with President Xi of China, and he wants to get along also, and he's looking to get along, and we're looking to get along with him.
He wants to get along also. I don't know what that means.
And we will. We have a problem of trade where we have a very big imbalance with China. With Russia, we don't have that much trade, and they'd like to, and we'd like to also. They have some.
So we have a huge imbalance of trade with China, and we have no trade with Russia, and they'd really like that. They'd really like to send us, things. that Russia makes. Does anybody know what's a Russian product? Borscht? What are we getting from Russia? What the hell are they? Are they exporting communism now? What's happening?
Very valuable things for us, including very big forms of rare earth. They have a lot of earth. You know, they have a big chunk of real estate, actually the biggest in the world for a country by far. And on that, they have things that we could use, frankly.
They got so much real estate. I could just put Trump towers everywhere. Have you guys seen Kazakhstan? It could just be Trumpistan.
And that other people could use. I think that President Xi would like to get along, and I think Russia wants to get along with the United States. I also think we're a much different country than we were just a few months ago. We're a country that's now respected. We were not respected. We were being laughed at. We had incompetent leaders.
What? The rest of the world is terrified and scared and sad for America. We are not respected. You are not respected, sir. The American citizenry that is rising up to fight you on a daily basis is respected because we are fighting tyranny and fascism in a democracy, in a supposed democracy. You, sir, however, are a joke internationally.
This was a war, as an example, that would have never happened if I were president.
Is part of your desire to forge this new relationship with Russia also impacted by Russia's closer relationship since you left office in 2021 with China? Because
yeah, she's going to call out China again because he's been China.
I think you talked about before the desire to box out China.
Although he does manufacture all of his Trump line of clothing in where? China.
From that part of the world and have a closer relationship with Russia.
So as a student of history, which I am, and I've watched
He's a student of history, guys. Did you know that?
it all, the first thing you learn is you don't want Russia and China to get together.
That's the first thing they tell. Guys, do you remember that in history class, day one in high school, where they're like, first rule of the world, don't let Russia and China become besties.
With that being said, no, it's not a big part of it, but maybe that'll happen or maybe it won't. Obama really forced them together through energy and bad energy policies. And when he did so many different things, he forced a marriage which would never have taken place. It was not a natural. And for one reason, Russia has tremendous land, a lot of land, and
a lot of land. He gets really excited. That's when you can tell he's excited. A lot of land.
China doesn't have enough land. Russia has a much smaller population.
I'm sorry. China has a tremendous amount of land. China is enormous. America can fit inside of China. China is bigger than we are. They have nothing but land.
Than China. And it's sort of a natural, it was always a natural enemy situation. They're probably friendly.
Yeah, that goes back to like Genghis Khan and the Cossacks and all that shit. They built the Great Wall of China to keep out those people.
Now, but we're going to be friendly with both. I think we're going to be friendly with both. China needs us in terms of trade very badly. And
do they? Why would China need anything from us? What possibly do we have left to give them? What possibly do we have left to give them? They make everything. They've bought up enough American businesses here to sustain their future food and water supply. What else do they want to? They don't want to trade with us. They already own it. They already own it. Guys, I encourage you. Here's an assignment. Go watch the documentary The Grab. And I'm going to try and see if I can somehow download it or something and play it. Yeah. This will change your perspective on all this nonsense that he's saying here about China.
But we have to straighten out the deficit.
Okay, so the United States is slightly larger than China in terms of total area, with the U.S. having a total of 3,809 square miles compared to China's. I don't know about that, Peter, but hang on. So the U.S. is a couple 100,000 miles landmass wise. Is that because of Alaska? That's probably because of Alaska. Alaska's enormous. But if you just took mainland America, that can fit inside of China, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. Alaska still, I don't understand. Anyway, that's just me. I feel like that should have just been Canada, but we bought it from Russia or something. Anyway, moving on. That's not what we're talking about right now.
We have now more than $1 trillion deficit with China. It's not even believable. And
Yeah, that part's true. We do have it. The enormous. We've borrowed a lot of money from China.
We're going to be doing something about that. And with Russia, they would like to have some of our economic power.
The criticism that you've heard since really
Russia would like to have some of our economic power. What does that mean? What does that mean exactly? They would like to have some of our economic power. Are we sharing with them? Is Russia now we're West Coast Russia? What does that mean? What the fuck does that mean?
2015 is that you have more in common with Vladimir Putin than you do with globalist leaders, maybe some NATO leaders, and in this case,
he nodded yes right then.
With Zelensky.
So you have more in common with Putin being a nationalist leader, and Zelensky's a globalist leader. Listen to his comment.
Both nationalists. Zelensky's more of a globalist. How do you respond to that criticism?
Well, I am a nationalist, but I'm a nationalist for the United States.
I'm a nationalist for the United States.
Not for anybody else. And it's interesting because there's nobody been tougher on Russia than me. I'm the one that pointed out Nord Stream 2, and I stopped it. Nord Stream is the biggest pipeline, I guess, in the world, taking care of all of Europe. And it was being built from before I got there. And somehow they were on the way. It was going to be, and I stopped it. It was just stone cold dead. I stopped it in its tracks. That's not somebody that's being particularly nice. It was the biggest project they ever had. I had it stopped. When Biden got in, he immediately approved it. Like immediately. One of the first things he did in office was he approved Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream until I was president. I said, what are you doing? You mean you're building a pipeline to Germany and various places in Europe. You're paying them billions of dollars a month, and then we're paying a lot of money to fight them. This is not going to work out well. And it stopped. And then Biden approved it, which was a really stupid thing to do, but he did it. And Putin actually said to me, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as my enemy. He said that very strongly. But with all of that, I had a very good relationship with Putin. I had a very good relationship with President Xi, a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un of North Korea.
Of course, we got to list. Don't forget his bestie, Kim Jong-un, who wrote him love letters.
Yeah, lots of good relationships. And that's a positive thing. That's not a negative thing. But at the same time, I'm about our country. So that's why we're talking about tariffs. We'll be taking in trillions of dollars.
I want to get to the tariffs.
Trillions of dollars in no, we won't. We do not get paid the money that we charge other countries. That payment goes directly to the consumers. We do not. That's not how tariffs work.
In a minute, because we're gonna first hit the other big news of the day, which was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court issued what a rare statement.
Okay, now for this part, I'm going to move the Cheeto because I want you to see his face and listen to what his reaction was when John Roberts, the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, okay, I have to.
About your suggestion.
Hang on, I have to do this here. We have more stuff to go over here, but so he was appointed by George W. Bush. He's a Georgie Porgy Jr. appointment. Not an Obama appointment. Georgie Porgy Jr. Okay. Yeah. I want to get his statement in full so you can see it before you see the reaction. Okay. So this was his statement. For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. Okay? Now, he doesn't name Trump here, but he was rebuking President Trump for calling on impeachment of the judges who have ruled against the administration. Okay? He pushed John Roberts, a conservative Bushy Jr. appointee, pushed back on that. So let's I don't need her salute anymore. Let's just go back a couple seconds here because it's really important.
That's why we're talking about tariffs. We'll be taking in trillions of dollars.
I want to get to the tariffs in a minute because we're gonna first hit the other big news of the day, which was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
1 second. It won't. I love this system, but it won't let me go back to the big full screen. Oh, there we go. I just need to do this. Here we go. All right, we're back.
Issued what a rare statement about.
Look at how she's already like making fun of it. Rare statement. It's a rare. It is actually very rare for any justice, especially a conservative one during a Republican presidency, to say anything, because the judicial is supposed to be Switzerland. It's supposed to keep the checks and balances between the Congress and the executive. Okay. So, yeah.
About your suggestion on Truth that you posted earlier today that Judge James Boasberg should be impeached after he ordered those deportation
That's right. He put a truth out.
flights to El Salvador halted, essentially.
So this one lone judge was like, nope, we got to halt these flights, deporting 300 Venezuelans to CCOT. Okay. If you guys don't know what CCOT is, we've gone over it. It's the jail in El Salvador where they put all the gangsters. Okay. And when you get put in that jail, it's a lifetime sentence. You're not ever coming out. There are no, they don't release them. Sending people to that prison means they're gone forever. There's no contact ever with the outside world. Ever. He just put those people in that jail.
Turned around. The Chief Justice said it was more than two centuries. We understood that essentially impeachment was for very rare circumstances and not an appropriate response to rulings you disagree with. What's your reaction?
What is his reaction
to the courts stepping in to make a statement here? They didn't make a statement when Joe Biden, decided to forgive all those student loans.
They didn't make a statement. So she's setting him up to talk about Biden, because that wasn't a constitutional matter.
He didn't mention my name in the statement. I just saw it quickly. He didn't
mention my name.
But many people have called for his impeachment, the impeachment of this judge. I don't know.
So the impeachment of the judge who said the plane should stop.
The judge is, but he's radical left. He was Obama appointed.
He's Boasberg. He's a radical Obama appointee. Let's see, Judge Boasberg. That's what I asked. Okay, so he was appointed by Barack Obama, this guy. Oh, he got in office on St. Patty's Day. He's been a judge there for the DC judge since 2011, guys. That's 14 years he's been there. 14 years. And a lot of people want him to be impeached. I don't know about that.
And he actually said we shouldn't be able to take criminals, killers, murderers, horrible, the worst people, gang members, gang leaders, that we shouldn't be allowed to take them out of our country. Well, that's a presidential job. That's not for a local judge to be making.
Actually, it is. That's what the judiciary is for. If you are taking away people's constitutional rights to, equal representation under the law, which does apply to non-citizens, by the way. Yeah. You're kind of like usurping that
determination. And I thought it was terrible. In fact, he said when they were well on their way, there was an order issued, as I understand it, to bring them back or to not let them go or something. And this is not something that the country would stand for. These people, they were let in here by an incompetent president who had open borders, and anybody throughout the world could come in. And we were given murderers. We were given people from mental institutions and prisons.
The judge is essentially saying, excuse me, Mr. President, that there still is a process in place. You can read between the lines. It hasn't been a full ruling yet. I know your Justice Department is appealing this.
Yes. Good job, Laura Ingraham. Take control back of the interview. There is a process in place to deport people. We already have that. We have that established. So rounding people up en masse under the supposed Aliens and Enemies Act, tossing them on a plane and sending them, by the way, not back to their country of origin. He did not send those Venezuelans back to Venezuela. He sent them to El Salvador to go to the world's shittiest prison for people who are the worst of the worst. I just watched a whole other documentary on what the president in El Salvador has been doing and the difference between SENCOT and their other prison system, which is actually working on reform. And I think that Trump is hoping to build a model out of the SENCOT prison. Like, yeah.
On a couple of different grounds, but this is leading people to wonder whether there are court orders that you will defy because you believe that the judge has no jurisdiction, or they're political questions and not justiciable at all.
Now listen to this question. It's very important. Will there be court orders that you will defy for, XYZ reason? Let's see what he says.
And what would you say to that? Are there circumstances where you would defy a court order? Well,
the answer to that should be a quick no. That's all that should come out of a president's mouth. No. But what does he say?
I think that, number one, nobody's been through more courts than I have.
What? No one's asking that if you're a felon or not. We already know that.
I think nobody knows the courts any better than I have. I would
clearly you have had zero success in the courts.
say the chief judge does, but
you're going to compare yourself to people with actual law degrees. Remember, you went to Wharton Business School, sir. You are not a lawyer.
nobody knows them better than I have. And what they've done to me, I've had the worst judges. I've had crooked judges.
I've had the worst judges, crooked judges.
I have judges that valued Mar-a-Lago at $18 million because that benefited his case because he.
This is what he's really mad about. The value of his real estate. I had a judge who always said Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million. Sir, they can only value it based on other real estate properties. It's like when you go to sell your house, right? If any of you guys are homeowners and you've ever sold or bought a property, your house price is based on the amenities and things inside, but also can go up or down based on the sales of other properties in the nearby area. And then you get what's called the price per square foot average that you can then value your house at. I've learned that by watching Selling Sunset, guys, okay? Like, maybe he should watch one of these shows.
He wanted to see me convicted of something. I have judges that were had relatives making millions and millions of dollars on the election.
Who? What is he just, first of all, you still haven't answered the question.
Ruling on the election.
Going forward,
Okay, so she's going to repeat it. Look, this is her annoyed mom face. Like, can we please? I don't want to hear anymore. Like, just answer this. It's going to be a simple one. Ready?
Judges
would you
that were
defy
so
a court
corrupt.
order? Because that, we all know that. That was
I never did defy a court order.
And you wouldn't.
So no. Now all of a sudden he's like, oh no, and I never did. I'm sorry, you didn't turn that plane around, sir. You didn't turn that plane around.
In the future.
No, you can't do that. However, we have.
No, you can't do that. However, oh, wait. Also, but, no, you can't, but I will.
Bad judges. We have very bad judges. And
so if it's a bad judge, I don't have to listen to him. If it's a judge I like, I will listen. I will do what that judge says because he's a good judge, especially if it's a judge I appointed.
these are judges that shouldn't be allowed. I think at a certain point you have to start looking at what do you do when you have a rogue judge. The judge that we're talking about, you look at his other rulings. I mean, rulings unrelated, but having to do with me.
It's a rogue judge. It's a rogue judge. Listen to that statement, guys. I'm going to put the Cheeto back up. A rogue judge.
Me, he's a lunatic.
He wants details of when flights departed and trying to, I guess they seem to.
Oh, no, he wanted a flight manifest? The outrage. The outrage.
Be trying to lay the predicate for your administration having defied a court order. Now, you all have said you haven't given specific times, and you filed a motion in court, your Justice Department, to prevent any more information getting out about specific times of flights. So,
Okay, so now in response to a judge saying, hey, you can't just throw people out of the country on flights, the Trump administration's response, let's get this straight, is to file an injunction in the courts to say, you can't ask us when we are putting bad people we decide are not worthy of being here in America on a plane, and we're sending them wherever we feel like it. You don't get to ask us that. I'm sorry, what?
That seems to be where this is going. Do you have faith that the Supreme Court ultimately will rule in your favor in this case?
I do, because the job of getting people out of our country that are murderers, that are absolutely the worst people, the drug lords are causing such problems in this country. You know, drug lords came in, the biggest of them. They left other countries to come in here. They came to.
They immigrated here to be bigger drug lords. They saw Breaking Bad and they're like, hey, that bald white guy's doing our thing. We better get over to that New Mexico and fucking take it back.
Through an open border. They're making millions of dollars destroying people's lives, killing people. And that's a presidential thing. We're supposed to be getting them out or getting them brought to justice. We had a judge, I would call him a rogue judge. You can call him whatever you want. I know nothing about him.
Sir? You can call him whatever you want. I don't know anything about him. Then why are you speaking on him? Why are you saying all these people want him to be, disbarred? They all want him, all these things. Hello? You just said you don't know anything about him.
I heard about this very late in the process, and I said, that's a strange order. You have local judges, local federal judges, local judges, period, and DAs and prosecutors, DAs, state attorney generals that want to really take over. I think some of it's for the publicity. They love the publicity. All of a sudden, they're on the front page of every newspaper, but they have.
Yeah, that's what judges want. They want publicity, right? Has no one seen like a crime show where judges are like hunted by the people that they've put behind bars? Judges don't want publicity. They want law and order. That's what they're there for. That's what they're there for. Jesus Christ,
They have no right to be.
Cracker.
When we come back, President Trump reacts to the latest Doge news, and it's a
Oh, the latest Doge news. Hang on. Hold on to your hat.
court ruling. More of my interview with the president next. Now more of my interview
Sorry,
with
I have to
President
yell
Trump.
over that.
Moving on to Doge, Judge Theodore Chuang is a federal district court judge in Maryland, has ruled against the Trump administration's efforts, Mr. President, to shut down USAID, ordering the government on an
He's shaking his head like this. Yeah, bitch. You don't get to fuck over millions of people and cause people to starve to death. So sorry. So sad.
accelerated basis to basically reinstate the agency's statutory functions.
Yes, correct.
Your reaction to this development?
Look at the fraud that we've caught. We've caught so much fraud, so much waste, so many employees that never showed up to work. And
Sir, no one has proven that. All you did was, unilaterally fire and close a department that had been helping millions of people. Not one penny saved for America, but millions of people around the world probably going to starve to death. So who cares?
we have a judge from a very liberal state who ruled like that. So bad
From a very liberal state. So bad.
for our country.
So I guess they closed the department. They're going to have to
Well,
reopen
we'll
the
be
department.
appealing it, I guess.
Yes. Yes, they have to reopen the department. We'll be appealing it, I guess.
Well, not I guess, I guarantee you, we will be appealing it.
We'll be appealing it.
We have rogue judges that are destroying our country.
Now, what is Pam Bondi going to do as Attorney General when she looks at the state of this? She took an oath before Congress that she was not just going to be a blind supporter of Trump, that she was going to do her job as Attorney General and follow the laws of the United States. I do not know how she can, as a, barred member of the, law profession, take any of this seriously and not think, like, literally, that all of this is going to be against the law. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, do you believe that at this point, given the totality of these lawsuits, the cavalcade of lawsuits,
Oh, Madonna, I know. First of all, I feel your pain on this. Okay. So far, in the first 80 days of the Trump presidency, he has cost the American taxpayers $18 million for his golf trips. No one's talking about that. That's the first 80 days. We haven't even finished the first 100 days. And that man, we don't have money to fund these departments, apparently. Just all this fraud and waste. But his golf trips, mandatory. When the fuck did presidential golf trips become part of the job or guaranteed pay? Because he's only golfing where, guys? At Trump-owned golf courses. And that means that the money that the taxpayers are paying for the Secret Service and for his golf use time, right, goes back into his pocket. It's a way for him to steal money from the American people. Don't get me started, Donna. Don't get me started.
Lawsuits that your administration could be further hampered, your agenda could be slowed down. They're throwing monkey wrenches at you with these judicial rulings.
But we have to go through an appellate process. It takes a long time.
And thank God for that, kind of, except for that works in his favor. Because while the appeal is pending, he's not going to change anything.
We have a judge that...
Do you have time?
We have a judge.
That's the point.
We have time. We're going to be making a lot of money because of tariffs. The good news is...
No, how? Please explain all the money we're making because of these ridiculous tariffs and why my eggs are so high.
We've got it on. We're going to very soon be on an even keel. We're going to be taking in a lot of money. The Trump card, the gold card, whatever they want to call it, it's okay.
The gold card. Have you guys heard about this? I'm sure you have. If you have $5 million to spare, you get a fast track to be a United States citizen with the gold card immigration status. Get your gold card today and become an American.
Okay with me. Whatever's going to sell better is fine with me. It'd be nice to get a piece, but I don't get a piece. Okay, I get nothing out of it. All I do is want to make this country successful again.
It'd be nice to get a piece. What? A piece of the money it costs for you to sell American citizenships? What?
We're taking in tremendous amounts of money. We have car companies that are building here who 6 months ago, we're going to build in Mexico, massive plants. They're building them in the United States. We have Honda is going to Indiana. We have them opening up in Michigan.
They were already in America. Honda, all these places. Honda, Hyundai, Toyota, all have plants here in America. All of them.
Michigan. It's amazing what's happening.
But for federal judges, district court judges, to order a sitting president to reinstate fired employees, you're the chief executive officer of the United States. You order that these agencies be reviewed.
Yes. So the judge said, she's trying to pump up his ego there. You see that? How dare this judge? Who does this judge think he is to tell the chief executive of the United States what to do?
Employees, many of whom didn't even report to work.
I'm so tired of that. That is not false. False.
Many of whom were scamming this country.
False.
And you see the same thing. I could read them off, and I did during various speeches. I read off deal after deal after deal, all big scams. And we have a guy who wants to make a name for himself. You know, in many cases, they're just grandstanders. They want to make a name for themselves. So
false.
We'll appeal it, and hopefully we will meet with reasonable appeals. You know, I've won great cases on appeals.
Now, listen.
False.
Maybe people weren't fired. Maybe they were temporarily put on suspended.
No, they were fired, Laura. They were fired.
So we'll see how this plays out. But he's very unhappy with what happened at USAID.
Well, he shouldn't be. You know what he should do? He should really look at where the money went. They don't ever want to do that. You know, the Democrats always talk about, oh, our Constitution.
Now let's look at where your money went, Trump. Let's do a deep dive into that. Can somebody, has anybody ever done a deep dive? Remember all the financial documents he was supposed to turn over in regards to his taxes? Did he ever do that? Did he ever turn over all those tax returns? Well, I've been under audit for 7 years, so we don't have all that information. So I can't give it to you because we're under audit. We're under audit. Is he still under audit? Are we ever going to see the actual Trump financials?
Constitution's been violated. The one thing they never talk about is where did these billions of dollars go? They never want to look, because when you see where the money...
Yeah, where did your billions of dollars go?
Money went, and the scams. You don't even have to see anything. Just look at the heading. And the scam that they've created. And a judge like him will never look at that. They'll just say, oh, it sounds so nice.
USAID is a scam? No, sir.
USAID, isn't that beautiful? But it's a whole big scam, Laura. And a judge like that is so bad for our country.
Well, it'll be interesting.
That judge is so bad for our country. No, you're bad for our country, sir. You're the worst thing that has ever happened to America. And then this woman who's got her, Christian hair on today, she's got to get it high so it's touching God.
See whether you're able to shrink the size of this government. Every Republican president has claimed.
How are we shrinking the size of the government? By creating a new unauthorized department that literally storms its way into actual departments and then takes it over.
a desire to. Even Obama said we have to find waste, fraud, and abuse, but you're actually doing it, and the judges are trying to stop you.
We're doing, by the way.
You're actually doing it. Really? No.
We're doing it at levels never seen before.
Lunatics are setting fire to Teslas all across the country.
Lunatics are setting fire to Teslas all across the country. That's actually not accurate. There have been a couple fires. There was a Tesla charging station that got arsoned. Yeah, I wonder why that is.
Another horrible incident happened in Las Vegas last night. The FBI is on the scene investigating, and there's an ongoing investigation being led by Pam Bondi.
Yeah. It's just awful. It's just awful.
In what you've seen so far, do you consider what's happening an act of domestic political terrorism against one of your allies?
So look how fast he said I do to that. She didn't even finish the question. Political domestic terrorism. Political domestic terrorism. And I want you guys to understand this, because what's happening to Tesla dealerships. Now, here's the deal, guys. I think everybody should go out and protest in front of every Tesla dealership that's out there. Okay. Protest. Hold your signs. Bring a megaphone if it's legal. You know, talk about the swastika and all of that, whatever. Okay. Do not fire bullets, set fire to, or, cause property damage to anyone's establishment, because that is no longer protesting. That is, arson and other things. Do not do that. Yeah, and also Teslas have a tendency to catch on fire anyway. That's just a known fact. They're not a good car. It's not a good car. Hang on. My wife is texting. I must text her back. All right, here we go.
Elon is a patriot. And again, I hardly knew Elon until
Elon is a patriot, guys. The definition of patriot now is someone who is acting in a complete fascist way and tearing apart the very fabric of democracy in this country is now a patriot.
Election. And he turned out that he liked me better than he liked these radical lunatics that we were in, better than Kamala, better than Joe, because he's an intelligent person.
Wow, he said Kamala right.
And he backed me, and he went, and he got very much involved. He actually would go around saying, if Trump doesn't win, our country is over.
But do you consider that?
Yeah, that was after he said you were a menace to society, and then he realized how gullible you were and how easily bought you are, and decided, I'm going to buy America.
It's an act of domestic terrorism.
I think so.
Why?
I think that if and when they catch the people, and I hope they do, the good thing is they have a lot of cameras in those places, and they've caught some already having to do with that. I think that you will find out that they're paid by people that are very highly political on the left.
Meanwhile,
how can you make that assumption? Here's the deal, sir. The American people don't want the swastika. They don't want, a neo-fascist, South African, emerald, slave mining heir to take over this country and shape it in his image. We don't want that.
well, it's because of Elon Musk. Everything he did with SpaceX, that those astronauts stranded for 9 months, they're finally coming home.
First of all, that had nothing to do with Elon Musk. That has to do with the company that actually builds spaceships. He doesn't know how to build a spaceship, guys. He didn't build the spaceships. And I'm thankful to SpaceX for bringing those astronauts home. I don't know what the fuck NASA's doing, but it's not because of Elon that the astronauts are home. It's because of the company SpaceX that makes pretty good spaceships.
Mr. President, your reaction to what's unfolding?
So when I came in office, I said, Elon, we got to get them out. You have a rocket ship handy? How many people have a rocket? And
you got a rocket ship handy? Hey, one time, can I go in the rocket ship? Let's go on a rocket ride. Like it's a fucking, horsey ride outside of a fucking supermarket or something.
Biden left them up. He abandoned them. We could have done this sooner.
He didn't abandon them. Biden did not abandon them. Okay. Yeah. Let's hold the agency accountable that is supposed to handle astronauts and their fucking care. It's called NASA, which is a governmental department that didn't do its fucking job. And if their funding hadn't been cut by you, they wouldn't have gotten stranded.
Didn't want to because he was embarrassed by what happened. So they were up there. They were supposed to be there for a few days. They were there for many months. And now they're coming back. But think of it.
And now they came back. Yes, that was actually very cool. Dolphins greeted them as their fellow space travelers. That was very, fucking poetic.
Elon's able to do that with his genius. And you have people
with his genius
that hate it. And I really believe these are people that hate our country. It's a big problem. But, there aren't so many of them. There are many.
So anybody who thinks that Elon is not actually a sane person and is out to hurt our whole country they're bad people.
More that love our country.
And we don't love America. So to love America and be a patriot, we have to agree with everything he says and everything Elon does.
And they love our country now more than they have maybe ever in their lives. There's never been a movement like MAGA, like America First, call it whatever.
Okay, so MAGA is the new movement. America First started back in the Reagan era. You actually just stole Reagan's slogan. America First, make America great again. America First started way back, actually, with the birth of what? The Ku Klux Klan. Okay, that was their fucking motto. Like, there have been these movements throughout the history of our country. All of them have one thing in common, and that is to make America white again. Make America white. We don't want brown people to be humans. We want them back as indentured servants and 3/5 of a person, like we said originally in the Constitution. Make America white. I think somebody should do a parody. If someone could make a parody song to the tune of A Hard Knock Life, okay, but make America white, like, please. I just thought of that. If somebody could do a whole lyrical parody. Randy Rainbow, where are you? Yeah. The MAGA regime has one goal in mind. If you read Project 2025, it has one goal in mind: to bring back the white nuclear family, traditional, and to Christian radicalize the United States of America. Not to make it a Christian nation. And to suppose and to dare to say, which they have said out loud, that this Cheeto is the most Christian president we've ever had. Actually, the most Christian president we've ever had, y'all, was Jimmy Carter. RIP to him. To say that man, a philanderer, a 7 times bankrupt, convicted felon, is more Christian than Jimmy Carter, who worked every living day of his life at making America better and giving back literally until the day he died. And we're going to say that this guy is more Christian than that. I don't even know.
Whatever you want to call it, this is the greatest movement in the history of politics.
What's the next stop for the astronauts? Are they going to be coming to the White House?
No, they're going to, number one, have to get better. You know, when you're up there and you have no pull in your muscle, you have no gravity, you can lift 1,000 pounds like this. They have to get better. It's going to be a little.
Yeah, they're really fucked up, man. They do have to heal. Good job on him at least knowing that. Like, yeah, I'm going to bring them over. We're going to give them some KFC and McDonald's, and they're going to be great.
A little bit tough for them. It's not easy. You know, they're up a long time. And when they do, they'll come to the Oval Office.
He's going to have them in the Oval.
Now more of my interview with President Trump. They have a $60 billion trade deficit. China has like a $300 billion last year. You said it goes up when you add it all up, it's $1 trillion.
Way over 100, Canada. And here's my problem with Canada.
So Canada also owes us money, apparently. We have a trade deficit.
Canada was meant to be the 51st state because we subsidize.
Canada was meant to be the 51st state. He's tripling down on this because we subsidize whatever he's going to say here.
Canada by $200 billion a year.
I don't. Can anyone run a fact check on that? Do we subsidize Canada $200 billion a year? And what is that $200 billion paying Canada for? How are we as Americans subsidizing Canada for anything?
We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We have a lot of lumber.
We have a lot of lumber. Yeah, I live around that lumber, and it's not supposed to be just soaked up. We need that to breathe. The lumber is cleaning the air. It's supplying oxygen. It has a job already. Leave it where it is.
We freed it up, as you know, last week. We're freeing it up so that you can actually cut down a tree without being, given the death penalty.
Guys, we need the trees. I speak for the trees. Leave them the fuck alone. We need air.
Because what these radical environmentalists have done to our country, but we freed it up. But we don't.
Everybody who is doing something that isn't conservative is radical. Wanting to breathe, period, not just clean air, okay? Fuck clean air. Just air is now radical concept. There should be nothing radical about wanting the earth to continue to survive and not wanting more horrific, fucking global weather disasters because we keep deforesting at an alarming rate around the world. We just had more shit happen. 42 people are dead. Boom. Because of fucking tornadoes and shit. That stuff didn't used to happen, all the time in the way that it is now. It's because of climate change. And the more we take away the trees, the worse it's going to get.
We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything. We certainly don't want their automobiles. They make a lot of...
We don't want their oil? We don't want the Keystone Pipeline? Okay, great. Let's stop that. Let's stop the Keystone Pipeline and give the indigenous people back their fucking land. Sounds good. I'm all for it.
Millions of automobiles are sent in. I'd rather have them made in Michigan. I'd rather have them made in South Carolina.
Yeah, millions of automobiles that are manufactured by Ford, the Ford Motor Company, and General Motors. The final manufacture takes place in Canada. So you're anti-Ford, you're anti-GMC. Those are two American car companies. You don't want those. You don't want those cars anymore. You don't want the ones that are made in Canada. No, we don't want those ones.
Or any one of
You're
our...
tougher with Canada than you are with some of our biggest adversaries.
Only because
That's a good question, Laura.
it's meant to be our 51st state. And
Okay.
Because it's meant to be our 51st state. She just said you're tougher with Canada than you are with some of our adversaries. And that's true. The tariffs that he's threatening to impose and has given a deadline to are more than on any other country. Even countries we have an adversarial relationship with. He's going to keep pushing this 51st state thing.
But listen to this for a second.
We need their territory. They have territorial advantage. We're not going to let them get close to China.
Right, exactly. Canada is bigger than us, guys. Canada's landmass is bigger than the United States landmass. So if we keep treating our stepbrother like shit to the north, they can make friends with the people that hate us. And then we're the ones that are fucked at the drive-thru.
Look, I deal with every country, indirectly or directly. One of the nastiest countries to deal with is Canada. The people that, now this was Trudeau.
One of the nastiest countries to deal with is Canada because of course, the radical leftist Trudeau.
The people that good old Justin, I call him Governor Trudeau, he
wasn't a governor, you dumbass. What a fucking dumbass. It's the prime minister, you fuck.
His people were nasty, and they weren't telling the truth. They never told the truth. You know that. They'd say, well, we don't charge. Well, they do. They charge tremendous. They charge tremendous. And if you look at dairy products, what they've done to our farmers, I'd go up to Iowa, I go up to different places, Nebraska, and they would always complain about Canada, how they get ripped off. Do you know that Canada has a 250% tariff? 250. Nobody knows that.
Do they? Do they have a 250% tariff on American dairy? I don't know. I don't know about that. I know that their dairy products, much like England and the rest of the civilized world, are way less chemically induced. Yeah.
They charge us numbers that are crazy.
But
we have a very big deficit with Canada, and there's no reason, much more.
60 million.
We have much more.
So Laura gives him the real number, 60 million. There's no billions, 60 million.
Just so you understand, we subsidize Canada. And I like Canada. I love Canada. I love Wayne
now
Gretzky.
the Liberal guys,
I love his wife.
the Liberal Party's going to win now in the next election, most likely. And they were
Yeah. Because they don't want to be you. Canadians are seeing what's happening here, and they're like, oh, not today, Satan.
down and out. Isn't that going to make them more hostile to us and possibly
I'd rather deal with a liberal than a
for
conservative.
China?
I'd rather deal with a liberal than a conservative. I'm sorry, what?
Closer to Canada, and that would really put us in a bind.
The conservative that's running is stupidly no friend of mine. I don't know him, but
So he doesn't like the conservative candidate in Canada.
he said negative things. So when he says negative things, I couldn't care less. I think it's easier to deal, actually, with a liberal. And maybe they're going to win, but I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me at all.
So your end game is what with them?
My end game is I don't want to have a big deficit.
We don't.
I don't want to see the United States of America, and you say 60 and I say 200, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. 60 million versus 200 billion. Guys, is there a large difference between those numbers? 60 million, 200 billion. I think there's a big difference between those numbers. I'm pretty sure.
I don't want us to pay 60 or 200 billion dollars to a country that, if they were a state, think of this, it would be our biggest,
Again, with the 51st state thing.
most beautiful, it would be great. This state, it would be cherished. We'd take care of it. The people would pay half what they're paying right now.
Canadians in the chat here, do you want to be the 51st state of this fucking dumpster fire?
Canada pays very little for defense. They think we're going to defend
We protect them.
What?
We protect them.
We protect them.
She has to remember that. She has to remind him of that we have a treaty with Canada. That if, like, let's say Russia, our buddy Putin, or Xi, or his bestie, his lover, Kim Jong, fired things or tried to attack, we have already told Canada, we're in it. We're in it with you, buddy. You just tell us where to show up. He doesn't even know that. But we're already besties with Canada in terms of defending this continent.
We protect them. Do you know in NATO they pay less than anybody else? In everything else, they go.
He hates NATO so much.
We're in the process of buying 48 icebreakers. All of a sudden, I see Canada's involved. Where they're going to get a piece of them. I say, well,
Yeah. Again, the Arctic Circle, guys, is in high contention. Everybody's in a race to make essentially a freeway across the top of the Earth to go, from like Alaska over to, Greenland, just boop, instead of having to go all the way around, and stuff like that.
what are they paying? And so I got tired of it. Here's a story. I had one of the most successful economies. I had the most successful economy in the history of our
False.
country in my first 4 years. We did a great job.
False.
Largest tax cuts ever, largest
False.
everything. We had right to try, where people were able to use drugs. Stupidly, for many years, they weren't able to use, the far-reaching drugs because they weren't approved yet. Somebody's terminally ill, they couldn't do it. With me, they can do it.
With him, we can do it, guys. We can just get shit that isn't approved or known yet.
Did so many things. We rebuilt our military. Canada doesn't pay for military. They don't
No, they have their own military.
give any, they give us nothing, and they are.
That's not true. They give us maple syrup, and fucking be grateful for that. And if we're lucky, poutine.
The worst people to negotiate with of everybody. They
Not
had
with
the worst.
USMCA, you finally got them around the edge on that, though.
No, I got them there, and USMCA is good, but they cheat. An agreement's good, but they cheat.
They're cheaters. They're dirty, dirty cheaters. Hockey players.
And Mexico cheats also.
But China cheated on your 2019.
Can I tell you what?
Phase one, they totally cheated and dropped it with Biden. You had a great deal.
When Biden took over, he didn't push them. I would call up once every 2 weeks saying you're not living up to the agreement, and they'd buy more corn, more this. So the most we ever did was $15 billion with China, the farmers and everything. And
Yeah, because they've already bought their own farms here. So they don't need to buy all. Yeah. That's why you guys got to watch the grab. We're gonna go over that. I want to go over this other interview here. Oh my God, guys. And I apologize for all. Oh, shush. Of course, Hannity. I'm going to take the Cheeto off here. Hannity, of course, had Elon on. The complete brain trust here.
Monologue earlier today, SpaceX successfully completed its rescue of 2 astronauts who spent 9 months stranded in space. They were supposed to be there 8 days. SpaceX founder, chief engineer, CEO Elon Musk. He now joins us for an exclusive interview. Elon, first of all, what a triumph to the human spirit.
Look at him. He's wearing his space jacket. He's like, I have to wear the appropriate. Why does his mouth do this, guys? He always looks like he's like licking peanut butter off the top of his, the roof of his mouth. Something like that. This is going to be too fast. I'm going to put it down for you guys. I watch everything at like 3.5x now because I got the pilot for like the 4x. It makes me so happy. Yesterday, just a quick note, I was in ADHD heaven. I was watching, I had one earbud in, okay? And I was listening to one podcast in this ear. I had a phone with another podcast in this ear, and we were watching The Bachelor. And I was like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened in my life. Both podcasts, by the way, running at like 3x. Oh, my wife and my daughter were appalled. They were appalled. She's like, how are you the oldest, but also the youngest at the same time?
Human ingenuity, engineering. First of all, on behalf of, I know many people in this audience, thank you for what you did for those astronauts today. How were you feeling, throughout the day? I mean, I know I felt butterflies in my stomach and I rarely feel them.
Yes, I am great. Let me tell you how great I am.
Well, I'm actually usually a little nervous about these returns because there's always some risk that something could go wrong. But thanks to the excellent work of the SpaceX team working with...
Yeah, the team. You didn't do it, Elon. You don't touch any of those controls. Tell the whole world. I'm not even in the booth. I don't even know what they're doing.
NASA, the astronauts are now safely home. And so congratulations to the SpaceX NASA teams on excellent work. And a huge note of appreciation to President Trump for prioritizing and expediting their return.
You have been the chief engineer of SpaceX and remain the chief engineer of SpaceX. It is the first private company to ever make it to orbit. Walk us through the beginnings of that. It is not, it's something that nobody else has been able to accomplish.
Well, it took a long time for that shit to deploy fully there.
But in the beginning, we didn't actually know anything about rockets. So our first 3 missions failed.
Hell, man. They did that a little late. That was a little rough there.
And just barely made it with the 4th launch. If the 4th launch of Falcon 1 had not succeeded, we would have failed as a company. So we just barely made it. So I have to say that I was not a very good chief engineer in the beginning, but I did learn.
No, you weren't. Your fucking rockets are still blowing up. Starship is a fucking disaster. It keeps blowing up and looking like the Transformers are coming to Earth constantly. Stop it.
Over time. And I think we've gotten at this point to where the vehicle is very reliable, and we are going to be able to take astronauts to Mars. In fact, we want to take anyone who...
Oh my God, please stop with the Mars. Stop it. Just take yourself to Mars, okay? And leave us alone.
Goes to Mars and ultimately build a self-sustaining civilization on Mars. That is the long-term goal of the company.
Who gives? How about we build a self-sustaining civilization where we live?
Make life healthy planetary.
I mean, that is a very bold vision. How long do you think that might take SpaceX to be able to accomplish?
I think we could do it in 20 to 30 years.
He had to think of a number real quick. He can't just say, I don't know. Okay, guys. So 20 to 30 years. By 2045 or 55, I will be alive still. Because I plan on being here till 2076. Because I want to be 100. We're supposed to be on Mars. Let's remember, we were lied to by Back to the Future. I still don't have no hoverboard. That was supposed to be 2015. Okay?
So really, in our lifetime, if God blesses me with a longer life than I deserve, right? I could always hope. I would love to be able to see that. That would be amazing. I happen to have a telescope, and I love to look at the stars in the sky and the planets. And
I love space. I love space.
I am amazed at the majesty of all of creation and the idea that we even look at the moon and we can go there and come back, or a space station.
And we haven't been to the moon since the 80s.
Or you launching the hundreds of satellites you have. I want to ask you this question, if I may. And it's, you know, every aspect of this rescue had challenges and danger.
Make sure to get the pictures.
The launch, we start there. Then the rocket landing. I mean, we showed, I couldn't believe you were able to land the rocket that fell off perfectly where you wanted it to land. The docking video when they actually connected and got onto the space station. Then the taking off earlier today was a 17-hour trip leading to the splashdown that all of America watched today. Every single aspect of that has danger and complications. Walk us through the dangers.
Okay, so this is the boring part. We're going to fast forward through that. Talking about space. Okay, here we go.
The issue of whether or not you had offered to send this rocket to space to rescue these astronauts sooner to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I heard somebody earlier today say, in fact, that didn't happen when I believe it did.
No, we definitely offered to return.
So now he's going to say that he was totally on board for that earlier.
The astronauts earlier. There's no question about that. The astronauts were only supposed to be there for 8 days, and they've been there for almost 10 months. So obviously that doesn't make any sense. SpaceX could have brought the astronauts back after a few months at most. And we made that offer to the Biden administration. It was rejected for political reasons, and that's just a fact.
So Joe Biden was like, nah, we don't want your help, Elon. I'm pretty sure I'm remembering that something else had happened. Like you weren't able to launch, and there was like, yeah, some weather things and other stuff that was happening.
Yeah. You know, I followed this from the very beginning. Did America and the world make a mistake by slowing down, going to the moon and to other planets? Was that a mistake on our part? I mean, don't we have so many...
He's been watching For All Mankind on Apple TV+.
Scientific and innovative breakthroughs every time we go?
Well, I think we'll have tremendous breakthroughs when we establish a city or a base and then a city on Mars, because we'll have to overcome so many challenges that it'll serve as a forcing...
Blah, 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 blah. Let's get to the... Sorry, I forgot that the Tesla part was so long. Here we go.
For sure. It's faster than a Ferrari, for example, yeah.
A Tesla's faster than a Ferrari.
No, I watched it beat my Z06. I'm like, I thought that was the greatest muscle car. No, it's not. I watched the S-Plaid beat it. You're into robotics, AI. You are working with Neuralink so the blind can see and people with spinal cord injuries may one day walk. You help people in North Carolina. You help people in California when they have no communications. And I watch all of this, and I have to ask, why? Why do I see people like I woke up this morning and saw that Teslas were put ablaze in one of your dealerships in Vegas?
Teslas were put ablaze. Well, also they sometimes just catch fire too because the battery components are awful.
Seen this happen all over the country. Bullets are being fired. Charging stations are put ablaze. Teslas are being put ablaze. You have experienced assassination, threats of assassination for you and your family.
That's awful. People should not threaten to kill people.
What have you done that warrants this? Because I see.
Yeah, what have you done to deserve this? What have I done to... Sorry,
nothing that you have done except help our country.
Yeah, I mean, it's really come as quite a...
He's done nothing but help our country. If you interview former Tesla workers from Oxnard, California, where he had his original plant, you will find out that those conditions in which those workers were putting together these American-made cars were slave environment. It's not good.
It's a shock to me that there's this level of really hatred and violence from the left. I always thought that the left, Democrats, were supposed to be the party of empathy, the party of caring.
Right. Like, remember when you were a Democrat? Because they gave you tax breaks, and then you said Trump was bad, and then you realized you could buy him, and then you were like, I love it. Dark MAGA.
And yet they're burning down cars, they're firebombing dealerships, they're firing bullets into dealerships, they're just...
Yeah, that happened here locally. The bullets. Twice.
Smashing up Teslas. Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things.
Never done anything harmful, except for make the Cybertruck, which is the worst vehicle ever made. No to man.
So I think we just have a deranged... there's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't...
Yeah. Mental illness not wanting you to be a fascist dictator and buy America out from under the people of America and keep usurping our rights. It's just so weird. I don't know what could have happened. I don't know what could have happened. Do you know that you're not supposed to store your Tesla in certain places because it can catch on fire? It's not. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out.
Make any sense? Yeah, and I think there are larger forces at work as well. I mean, I don't know who's funding it and who's coordinating it, because
who's funding it? Who's the money behind burning my Teslas? You know who's the money behind it? The poor people who don't want you to do what you're doing, who have no money. Your cars represent fascism. And they are trying to send a message to you, no, thank you. No one is paying people to go destroy property. This is called a revolution. This is called an uprising. Now, I do not condone the destruction of property, but this is what happens in every uprising. Okay? We dumped millions of dollars of tea in the fucking Boston Harbor as a big boop boop to England. Remember that? It's now the Tesla Harbor. That's what people are doing.
This is crazy. I've never seen anything like this.
You didn't study the American Revolution?
You actually tweeted out, and I'll put it on the screen, the level of violence is insane. It is deeply wrong. Tesla just makes electric cars and has done nothing to deserve these evil attacks.
No, it's run by an evil man. Correct that the Tesla cars themselves, until their AI becomes autonomous and runs over people randomly, which it already has done sometimes, is not a good company because of you, Elon. Because of you.
You just rescued 2 astronauts that have been in space for 200.
You just rescued 2 astronauts. Like, what more can you do? Why can't you, you know, get it?
86 days. They were only supposed to be there 8. You helped the people in North Carolina, Tennessee, California. You
did?
have, I think, the most creative and innovative car on the market.
No, absolutely not. So Fox News is now doing Tesla commercials also.
Created Starlink for communications that's used by hundreds of countries.
Uh-huh. Starlink is also an exclusive partnership with T-Mobile, which is the company I use, that I used to work for. And if you are lucky enough to get in on the beta test to be on the Starlink network, you will no longer have dead spots. Within the next year, they will be pushing out a plan that gives you exclusive access to that. And you have to have a certain phone or above that has those antennas, one of which being the iPhone 16, which has already the Apple proprietary satellite hookup. Good and bad, right? Good service, like when you're remote camping. Bad, you are now tracked everywhere. There's no privacy. Always remember, there's always 2 sides to every coin.
You're working on helping the blind see and all of these other things. Is it really?
Yeah, Neuralink. Neuralink was developed to supposedly give sight to the blind. It has done nothing that it promised.
Down to the basic, you're aligned with President Donald Trump, who also is a friend of mine, and
I don't like when people are mean to my friends.
That you have identified well over $100 billion in waste, fraud, abuse.
False.
That our federal government never should have been spending. Is that what it comes down to?
Yeah, it turns out when you take away people's, the money they're receiving fraudulently, they get very.
No, when you take away the money people are receiving because they depend on that money for their life, like Medicaid and soon to be Social Security, people get upset about that because they cannot live.
Upset. And they basically want to kill me because I'm stopping their fraud. And they want to hurt Tesla because we're stopping the.
No. People don't want to hurt Tesla. They want you to understand that we do not want you. Tesla, the swastikas, are a symbol of you.
This terrible waste and corruption in the government. And, well, I guess they're bad people. Bad people do bad things.
Bad people do bad things. Well, then that makes you a bad person in that analogy, Elon, because you're doing a bad thing right now. Doge is bad. In my opinion, Doge is bad. It's not good for the country. It's good for your pocketbook. And you conveniently disassemble every agency that has what? Oh, looked into your companies. Interesting.
Well, I know that overall, you know, financially, in the end, yes, they can hurt you, but the people that they'll end up
because Tesla stock is tanking.
hurting are the people that work in your dealerships that may risk losing their job.
Oh no, unemployment. Tell me, Elon, how are you going to guarantee your employees' safety and keep them working, selling your cars?
The people that they may end up hurting are the people that work on the line and build the Teslas.
What are you going to do to incentivize those people to keep working for the swastika company?
They're going to be the ones hurt. And that to me is despicable on their part, just because they might have a political difference or perceived political difference. Let me ask you this.
No guarantees from him. None.
I think this is pretty important. You know, the average American makes $66,000 a year.
No, they do not. That's false.
We're close to $40,000 in debt.
The average entry-level job here in Oregon, okay, will pay you $36,000 a year. To say that the average American makes $66,000 is a fucking joke. What is that? I got to do the math, okay? $66,000. Oh, Jesus. I'm not good at the like super big math. 66,000 divided by 52. That's $1,269 a week. Okay. Divided by 40 per week. That's $31.73 per hour. You tell me in your local area who's paying $31.73 per hour for an average person. Who's paying that? Who's paying $31.73 per hour? Because that's how much, and that's before taxes. Who's getting that money? It's a ridiculous statement, Sean Hannity.
You said to me in our last interview, we won't have a country unless we fix it now. Can you explain why this is so important that we identify all this waste?
Yes, the government the government waste and fraud is so high that it's causing a $2 trillion annual deficit. So that's $2,000 billion of waste and fraud that's happening.
Thank you, mathematician Elon.
And the cost of our debt has gotten so high that just the interest payments on the debt exceed the entire military budget. And it was just growing out of control. So the country is going bankrupt. It's just, country is no different from a person. If a country overspends and doesn't spend wisely, just like a person, a country will go bankrupt.
Yeah. We've needed to fix our spending for a long, long time. And our industrial military complex is sucking at the teat so much. What's this breaking news here? Good grief. Still too big. Trump just decided to end phone support for the Social Security Administration, forcing seniors to verify their qualifications online or in person when they don't use internet, and many cannot drive. I know what I'm going to be doing this weekend. I'm going to be having a big FaceTime call with my mom to try and walk her through that. That's not going to be fun. Okay. Because, people who are not technologically savvy, which many of our seniors, they can make phone calls, they can take pictures, they can do a FaceTime, okay? These are things that they've learned over the last few years. There are many seniors, and I know this firsthand since I used to work at a telephone communications company, do not own a smartphone. They have never owned a smartphone. They reluctantly have a little flippity-dippity phone, okay? Just so that they can talk to, the people, because AT&T, after it was bought out by Singular, and before they rebranded back as AT&T back in 2006, after people summarily were like, what the fuck happened to this country? You have to remember that AT&T, Ma Bell, all those things, the heart lines, to quote the Matrix here, the heart lines of America, and even the heart lines of the cellular industry, okay, I'm going to get super nerdy with you guys, are built on top of the old copper line network that goes all the way through America. If you are in a neighborhood, any neighborhood, you will find a big square box, or sometimes it's a skinny metal box, and kids love to kick this shit. Fucking people crash their cars into it. Please don't do that. Inside those boxes is a network of thousands of teeny tiny wires. Okay. All of those wires then go from that little depot out to the homes. And that's where people used to have kids back in the day, are landlines. It was it's low voltage technology. But cellular technology, internet technology is all based and runs alongside those copper wires. Without those copper wires, without the heartlines that we no longer have access to, because they took all of the terminals and turned them digital, which is why we don't have home, like home phone service anymore, like we used to. Okay. All of those copper lines now power the high fiber optics, okay, that we get our internet on. They also power the cell towers. That line of copper goes to the cell tower, which then translates those communications into digital communications across the airwaves. Okay? That's the difference. But if we didn't have those copper heart lines, you have nothing. You will have no communication system. Okay? Yeah, you don't have an actual landline. It is a Wi-Fi calling device that is hooked up to your internet. It is not hooked up to that copper hard line that still probably exists from your house out to that depot. Okay? So yeah, they're really fucking with everything. Yeah, it already took at least 6 months to get qualified for Social Security. Now it's going to take at least a year to get qualified for Social Security. Offices are closed. If they are there, their office hours are like 2 hours a day. It's a bunch. They're trying to not give out this money in every way, shape, or form. They already, under the first Trump administration, if you remember, the guy DeJoy, whatever the fuck his name was, who destroyed the Postal Service, right? Tazzy, you guys may still have that out there. You may still have that. No, all of the landlines got canceled. And my mom the last house that we had an actual landline, okay, was in Ventura. It was a real one. We had a guy come out and do the wiring and do boop, boop, boop. AT&T was charging us $75 a month for that landline because there's so few people left in this country who can service those little copper wires to make sure that the signal is going and climb the poles and make sure it's the right thing at the right place. There's nobody left to do that. Everything has been taken over by the digital, which has been built on top of that. It's just, yes. And I got to get over to my premiere, guys. It's on I have a premiere right now. I'm late. Let's get to the things here. Thank you, Witch Share. I saw a clip from a random stream earlier. He made an excellent point. Trump is doing what Trump has always done. Grift. That is correct. That is correct. Let's hear. Vernon just became a member. Which Share celebrating 2 months of membership. You are stronger than you think. Always keep fighting. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Oh, this is very true. There's no privacy now. Everything you do on the internet is tracked. Everywhere you go is collected. The issue is how Elon will use this data opposed to the intelligence apparatus. Remember Snowden? Oh, no. That's why he's going into all these places so that his AI can comb through all these places. Make no mistake about it. Elon is turning America and the governments of America, the governmental departments, rather, of America, into his own private AI test ground right now with all the information that he should have no access to whatsoever. Hi, Vernon. Yeah, they shouldn't call it World War III. They should call it the last war. Because the Third World War would destroy the planet. Accurate. He acts like Russia has never invaded Ukraine before. Right? You should make a list of movies for us to watch as homework. I would watch them. The Grab. It's on Hulu. The Grab. Please go watch it. Watch Adam Mocker, Elon Exposed. Okay. I'll go check it. Per Mary Trump, just mention mashed potatoes to Donald and rattle him. Every liberal should just be like, you know what we're going to bring in now is some mashed potatoes for you to try out, sir. It's the National Mashed Potato Contest. Yeah. I wonder if Trump wakes up and says, which shade of orange should I paint my face today? I know, right? Like, how does he make that decision? How? Now it's a tornado watch. Yes, hail has stopped. Thank you, Joe Bananas, Rocks, and Madonna and Miss Poppins. Sigh of relief. Is Doge still going to get rid of the National Weather Service? Probably. If it does, please turn into Max Velocity. Let me pull up his channel. This is the guy I watch for severe weather alerts. He's fantastic. He just got 1 million subscribers. He's fucking amazing. Let me bring up Max Velocity's channel here so you guys can all tune in. He's this kid who probably was just like super obsessed with weather, and then made this channel on YouTube, and he's fucking great. See, so right now, if this is Max Velocity, accurate and honest forecasts. Let's see if he's live. He's live right now.
Town or Frankfurt, even if there is not a tornado, we are still talking about
he will
damaging
give
winds
you
around 70
all
miles
of
per
the
hour.
information here.
No matter what way you split it, it's still a bit of a concern here.
So he's doing a tornado watch out here, and he'll pull up all the traffic cams. He's got severe warnings, tornado warnings.
St. Louis because it's very windy.
Tornado warning comes in, he's
it's just windy.
Into the
There's
area
nothing happening over there.
to show you.
St. Louis is good. By the way, I do want to point this out. Like, the severe weather risk was technically including St. Louis today, but again, the severe weather
look at that
is well out
he's
of your way
absolutely
now.
fabulous. I love him.
Miss St. Louis, Cape Girardeau, Burlington, Davenport, all those areas have already dealt with severe weather, or you are you just did not see any at all today.
Okay,
so that's good.
So there you go. Max Velocity.
Have you ever seen white tornadoes? We actually saw a Foley.
I'm gonna pause him here. He's fantastic. Please go tune in. Also, right now on my other channel, I gotta hop on over there, guys. Is a premiere on What's Up with Nora. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. I will see you all next time. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Oh No Merica. I'm your host, Nora Ames. Hopefully this day has been informative, fun, and given you a little sparkle of Merica. Thank you to my mods, as always, for keeping things cool, chill. And if you guys want some of that sweet, sweet merch, hit us up at ohnomerica.com.
Headlines that blow your mind, only on Oh No America you'll find.